Hi everybody! So today I'm bringing something a little different. I've seen a lot of different tags and I thought it would be really fun to do my own, and especially when I looked at there being no Easter tags. I'd done a search and nothing really came up for Easter book tag. So I thought it would be fun to do kind of an Easter themed, spring themed book tag. So everything is on one hand something that you associate with Easter, and then a prompt, that's book-based, that's based on that. And it's going to make a lot more sense once I actually get going. So let's go. Okay, so the first item is rabbits. They're associated with Easter, and that would be a book that you wish would multiply. So a book that doesn't have a sequel that you'd like to have a sequel. And for me, that's The Lonesome Young by Lucy Connors. I actually loved this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. Some people have said it's Romeo and Juliet meets Sons of Anarchy. That's been kind of a common way to explain it. It's about a girl who's from a wealthy family who falls for a guy who's from the wrong side of the tracks and is from a family that is known to be developing and selling meth, but he's not actually involved in that, but everybody thinks he's a bad guy just because of his family, and then he keeps getting swept up into all of their stuff. And I'm not usually one for things that are a little more gritty like that, but the characters were amazing and very interesting, and I do enjoy Southern fiction, and so I enjoyed it even though it isn't the sort of thing I usually read. And I know there'd been talk of it being a series, but the first book's been out about a year and I haven't heard anything, so I'm getting a little worried that maybe it's not a series, but I sure hope it still is. Okay, the next one is Egg, which is a book that surprised you, that has surprise in it. And for me, that was Gone Girl, but I don't have it with me because I got it out from the library, but that's a book that's known for having a really big twist in it. And obviously I won't ruin that for you, though it's one of those kind of open secrets. But the twist, and even in a certain way there's a second twist, both kind of threw me for a loop. So that was the first book that came to mind for that. Okay, so the next book on my list is kind of a trifecta of sorts, but it's Hunt, which is a book that was hard for you to get your hands on. And I got into Harry Potter as soon as the first two books were published in the US. My mom got it on, and this is really telling you how old I am here, but my mom got it on a news list from Amazon.com for parents. And it was, if your children enjoy reading, they'll enjoy this. And so she got it for me for my 11th birthday, which is really cool. I was reading about Harry's 11th birthday on my 11th birthday. But I really, really liked it. And she found out that, obviously everyone knew there was a third book coming out, and the wait was really long for the United States compared to England. And so my lovely mother went out of her way and went on Amazon.co.uk and got me this book before anyone had it in the US. And I actually preferred it because it was with British English. And I felt that was more authentic to how the author actually wrote it. But then years later, I realized that my first two books, and then like the fourth one, I had it as well. I had both American and British for some reason. And then from then on, it was just released at the same time, so it was just cheaper and easier to get the American edition. So I was missing the third book, American edition. I really wanted it to be a first edition because all my other ones were. So I went to a lot of different used bookstores, and so I bought The Prisoner of Azkaban as a first edition US years after it was published. I think I had all 7 books by that point. And then, when my dad was going on one of his many Italy trips, he asked me what I wanted, and I jokingly said I thought it would be cool to have one of the Harry Potter books in Italian. And so he actually got me The Prisoner of Azkaban. So I have 3 different copies from 3 different countries of The Prisoner of Azkaban, and I really should have thought of getting it in Russian because that would have just been funny. But oh well, too late now. But I just thought that was funny and I'd like to share it. But so all this hunting has gotten me 3 different copies of The Prisoner of Azkaban, and one of them I can't even read. The next thing associated with Easter is Lambs, and that would be a children's book that you still enjoy. And for me, that's The Secret of Platform 13 by Ava Ibbotson. And a lot of people, they've compared this book to Harry Potter quite a lot. It's a little bit like Harry Potter in that they get on a specific train platform and it takes them to a magical place. But it's actually a doorway that's covered by these posters that they find. So it's not like, it's a hidden platform, but it's not in the same way as 9 3/4. And it's the entrance to a magical kingdom, and it's an island, and there's all these fantastic beings. So it's really nothing like Harry Potter, but because of the platform, the train platform aspect, a lot of people wanted to accuse J.K. Rowling of plagiarism, which wasn't the case. But I actually got this completely unrelated to Harry Potter, just, you know, because I liked that kind of thing. And I still think it's a really good book with good writing, and it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of lesser known. And then later, I got the same author's romances. So I would actually like to look into her other youth, like middle grade fantasies one of these days, because I do still like this one, and I like her romances that were written for adults and then re-released for young adults. So maybe I should check out some of her other books. The next thing associated with Easter is spring, and that's a book with a cover that reminds you of spring. And I chose The Girl in the Gatehouse by Julie Klassen. It's a Christian romance. It's pretty good. I like some of her other books better, but this one just looked kind of springish to me on first glance. You know, the green grass and things like that, and the dress looks kind of springish. I didn't really have that many springish covers, and it was actually the toughest thing on the list, which is kind of sad. I made the book tag and struggled to find a book with a springish cover, but oh well, it was still kind of fun to look at all my old covers. Next thing associated with Easter is obviously Jesus, and so that would be a religious or spiritual book that you enjoy. And I actually chose a novel. I'm a Roman Catholic, and there's not actually a lot of Catholic fiction out there. So when there is, I really like to give it a try and to read it. Actually, some people credit this author that I'm about to share with his other book with inventing the dystopian genre with his book Lord of the World. But this is Robert Hugh Benson's Come Rat, Come Rope. And it's about a time when Catholicism in England wasn't really allowed. There are people who recused themselves of going to the Anglican services, and so they were called recusants. And so that time was called the recusancy, and there's a lot of struggles. And so this is about a young man who's kind of torn between, do I get married, do I become a priest? You know, and this girl he loves is also torn between the idea of becoming a nun and becoming married. So that's kind of an interesting conflict, and it's very well written, and there is a big twist in here, and it was just like, whoa. But don't read summaries of it, because it is more of a classic. So a lot of times the classics, they kind of, and this drives me nuts, they kind of talk about it like nobody's reading it for enjoyment. And this actually happened to me with G.K. Chesterton's Father Brown mysteries, where they're like, oh, and this book is really clever because Father Brown figures out that it's this and such guy doing this, and he figures it out because of this. And it's like, you're telling me this in the preface, really? Of the book that I'm going to read that's full of murder mysteries? Like, really? So if you get this book, like, just don't read the summaries, just read the book, because a lot of the summaries kind of let you know which way it's going to go with the main character Robin, with his conflict. And trust me, you just want to read it for what it is. And also, I feel that even if you aren't a Catholic, but if you like historical, it's definitely something that you would enjoy, and it's definitely a lesser known part of history. It's not, like, a lot of Christian fiction is so religious that if you're not religious, you wouldn't enjoy it. But I feel like there's a lot of adventure in it and romance in it, and talking about things in history that a lot of people don't talk about. So I would recommend it to everyone, not just Catholics, not just Christians. The next thing associated with Easter is Rising from the Dead, and that would be a deceased author, or a book from a deceased author that you like. And I chose To the Hilt by Dick Francis. He was an Englishman who wrote murder mysteries set in a horse racing, usually steeplechase, which is the horse racing with jumps. Scene in England, you know, everything has to do something with the racing scene. And I thought they were very interesting, and I learned a lot about horse racing from them. And I definitely miss him a lot. and miss seeing his books. His son has continued to write, but it's really not the same. But his son Felix has continued to write similar things, but I prefer the books that Dick wrote. So he's definitely missed, and I definitely return to his novels every now and again. The next thing associated with Easter is baskets, and that would be something that is in your shopping cart or basket or on your Amazon wish list, or, you know, maybe, obviously not everybody shops online. I know some people prefer to go to the real bookstore, but something that you would like to put in your Easter basket maybe then, if you don't shop on Amazon. And obviously this is a book I don't have because that's why it's on my wish list. Okay, the next book in the Mara Dyer series, I read The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, and I'd like to read The Evolution of Mara Dyer because it ended on this big bam moment, and I really want to see what happens next. The next thing that's associated with Easter, and is something we all like to get in our Easter baskets, is candy, and that would be a book that's sweet. So I chose Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. And I like this book a lot. You know, it's kind of like a sweet, fluffy romance. It's not really, you know, deep in any way. Although, you know, it was a lot of fun. I liked the romance between the two main characters. I like the hero a lot. I definitely want to read Lola and the Boy Next Door. And, you know, see, and then I hear that her third book kind of ties everybody back in together. So that's exciting. I read this on a plane. You know, it's good vacation reading. This is actually the book I was reading when someone who didn't realize I was American complimented me on the fact that I could read English. So this book will always have kind of a funny memory associated with it for me too. And then the last thing on the list is Peeps, which are usually those little marshmallow chickens, but can also be like your peeps, your friends, your people. So that's tag your peeps, tag your people. And so I would like to tag Sasha at A Book Utopia, Tasha from Tasha Polis, and Leah from Hi I Love Books, and sorry I don't know your name, but the host of Between Chapters, because I'd like to see all of you, you know, your take on this. Thank you very much and happy reading.